Flexible survival plans are resilient survival plans because there are some disasters where staying home becomes a bigger threat than leaving. Hey, I'm Jack. I'm the co-founder of SkilledSurvival.com and TheResilientLife.com. And I've been teaching and writing about all things survival and preparedness since 2013. These two sites have reached millions of visitors over the years, and with that comes a lot of questions about bug-out bags and survival plans. The way I see it, there's two types of people in the survival and preparedness community. There's those who have bug-out bags and those who don't. So in today's video, my goal is to convince you beyond a shadow of a doubt that everyone should own a bug-out bag. So today I'm primarily talking to those who do not have a bug-out bag yet. Folks who say, come hell or high water, there's no way I'm leaving home. But that's just not wise. It's extremely dangerous to be so black and white about your survival plans. You have to have some flexibility built in. Now, right here, this is my bug-out bag, and in the next video, I'm gonna go through each and every item that I carry in my bug-out bag so that you can compare and maybe add some things to yours or help you out with your build. But I want you to take a second to subscribe to this video right now to my channel. That way you don't miss out on that video or any future video that I shoot, okay? Okay, so let's get started on the 7 reasons why I think everyone should own a bug-out bag. Now first, whenever I hear someone say, I'm never bugging out, there's no disaster that would force me to leave my home and my supplies, my go-to response is, oh yeah? Even if your home was directly in the path of a raging wildfire? Because every year, there's folks who choose to stay at home even after a wildfire evacuation has been ordered. And sometimes they pay the ultimate price. For example, an elderly couple in their 80s chose to stay even though they were in the direct path of a wildfire. It was the East Troublesome wildfire near Grand Lake, Colorado. Per a family member statement after the fact, they considered their property heaven on earth. And they also said they were in their basement and they felt safe. But they were later found, unfortunately, to have perished. That's why we have home insurance. That's why we have backup plans. And that's why you need a bug-out plan. Just having a bug-out bag gives you some peace of mind and some more flexibility. And even if you don't live out west or feel a wildfire is possible in the areas you live, what if the house next to you catches fire? Are you going to stay in your home? No, you're going to grab a couple things and get out the door. Or what if lightning strikes and hits your home, or you just have a fire in your home in the middle of the night? Of course, you're going to head to the exit and get out as fast as possible. But if you happen to have a bug-out bag sitting there next to your exit, of course, you could grab that and get out the door. That way, when you're standing on the street, you at least have a bag of a few of your supplies. You have some food, you have some extra socks and underwear, you have a few things to help you in case you have to go to a shelter or go to a friend's house overnight. So if you place your bug-out bag by the main entrance, chances are you'll be able to grab the thing on the way out the door and you'll have a bag of your stuff. So fires are the #1 reason everyone should own a bug-out bag so they can grab it and go in a moment's notice. The next reason I think everybody should own a bug-out bag is flash floods. Flash floods are very dangerous. And if your house happens to be in the path of destruction, it can even be deadly. For example, flooding due to Hurricane Harvey in 2017 created more than 100 deaths. The Houston metro area received 40 or more inches of rain over a 4-day period. The flooding also inundated hundreds of thousands of homes, which displaced more than 30,000 people and prompted more than 17,000 rescues. Man, I sure wish these folks all had bug-out bags at the ready. Just having a bug-out bag helps you realize that sometimes your home can be directly in the path of danger. Flash flooding is no joke. It nearly always takes people by surprise, so you need to be prepared and have a bug-out bag ready to get out of the danger zone fast. Now, if you happen to live on just about any coastline, there's always a small possibility of an offshore earthquake creating a tsunami. Now, the power and speed of the worst tsunamis are beyond comprehension, and they push inland much further than most people expect. And if you don't leave immediately when you hear a threat or hear a siren or realize that, hey, there's something wrong here, and you don't make it to high ground in time, the oncoming water could easily overtake you. And if you don't live in a coastal region, perhaps you occasionally visit one. We all sometimes go on vacations, and the coasts are very popular places to go. And in that case, you should carry your bug out bag with you, and you should consider it your everyday carry bag and have it with you at all times. That way, if you survive the tsunami, you might get stuck in a very desolate region for several days or weeks, especially if you happen to be on some kind of island where transportation is limited and the power's out and there's no food or limited food and electricity. You gotta have some supplies to make sure that you can survive that kind of environment. And that's why it's smart to have a bug out bag of your stuff with you in case you end up in an aftermath of such a disaster. Now, bug out bags are usually thought of as a quick grab and go when danger's moving fast and every second counts. And that's true. But sometimes the danger's slow moving and you can have a couple weeks or even a few days to see the writing on the wall. And in this case, it'd be like hurricanes, right? In modern society, hurricanes don't really surprise us anymore. At least not in the way a wildfire or a flood can. Sure, a hurricane can intensify at the last minute or it can change its path slightly unexpectedly, but most people know if they're in the cone of danger and if the risk to coming on shore is coming directly at them. However, while other folks are packing suitcases and trying to figure out what they should take and everything's chaos and they're unorganized, you know you've got a bug out bag that's hanging on your wall. Now, you may decide to take a few more items, right? Because you have some time, but you know for a fact that your bug out bag's filled with the essential things you need to survive. That way, if you end up in a shelter or you end up in a hotel in a different state or you end up at a friend's house to ride out the storm, you'll have a bag of your stuff. For example, you might have a sleeping pad, you might have a bit of extra food, you might have some playing cards, some extra socks and underwear, a hand crank radio, etc. The point is, you're not helplessly relying on others and their handouts to protect you or inform you or feed you or clothe you. You have some stuff. Okay, next up is most power outages are short-term in nature. Most of them last a few hours and maybe a couple days max. But occasionally it can turn into even longer events, such as during winter outages or blizzards. But what happens if the power grid's out for an even longer period of time? What if the power outage occurs when freezing temperatures are in play and you're worried about your own survival at night sleeping? Well, you might need to seek out a shelter, or you might have to bug out to a friend's place who happens to have power maybe a state or 2 states away. Now, I try not to predict the future. I don't like to waste time on every doomsday scenario possibility and every end of world prediction. Instead, I try to focus all my efforts on being more resilient no matter what life throws at me down the road. But with that said, I'm also very aware of things like massive EMPs, whether it's from a nuclear explosion in the upper atmosphere or a solar flare from the sun. Either one could theoretically knock out big chunks of the power grid and lots of electronic components. And if that happens, then you're going to need some things like backup generators and alternative heat sources like wood stoves or kerosene heaters, etc. And if you have those, then yes, it's possible to ride out a longer term emergency without power in your home. But right now, I'm talking to the people that don't have those things. They don't have stockpiles. They don't have that in place yet. Well, your next best bet is a bug out bag and a bug out location, right? Now, when I say bug out location, it doesn't necessarily mean a cabin in the woods. While that's great if you have that, it doesn't always mean that. Sometimes it just means friends in a different state, right? You can just get out of town for a while and then come back when things clear. So if you're one of those people that don't have all those resources to ride out a big, long power outage, then I recommend having a really good bug out bag that you can grab and take with you to get out of the danger zone. Next up is riots and war. For most Americans, we're not thinking there's going to be a riot outside our house tomorrow, right? It just doesn't seem realistic. But the tensions in the political environment in America are obviously becoming heated, and around the world for that matter. And in recent times, there's been more and more violent clashes between different groups of people. These protests and counter-protests have led to lots of riots, anarchy, and sometimes arson. Even small towns and suburbs that feel safe may not be safe if an all-out civil war were to unleash. And if you live anywhere else around the world, there's a chance that you're watching this and you're saying, this is my daily reality. I deal with riots and civil unrest all the time. Now, if you'd rather not be a participant of these events, like I'm assuming you don't want to go join the protests, and you'd rather avoid becoming an innocent victim in the madness, then it probably makes sense to flee, especially if your house seems to be in the location of the danger zone or the hotspot. Because these types of conflicts can escalate fast without warning. And if your home is anywhere near the worst of these violent acts, you may need to grab your bug out bag, hit the road, and then from a safe distance, keep an eye on the news. Of course, we're all worried about looting and arson and losing our home and theft, but honestly, if an all-out riot's taking place, I just am going to make sure I got really good insurance on my home, and I'm going to have really good records of all the things I own, but I'm going to get out of the path of danger, and I'm not going to put my life in unnecessary risk just to protect some stuff, right? My life's more important than stuff. Okay, next up is everyday carry and get home bags. Because here's the deal. Disasters won't strike when it happens to be most convenient for you. It's not going to strike just because you happen to be home with your supplies. It's very possible something happens when you're away from your home or you're off on vacation. That's why I like to keep a bug out bag that's extremely lightweight, so I can also use it as my EDC bag or everyday carry bag and my get home bag, okay? Some people like to have all three of those bags. I prefer to actually consolidate it and just have one. It's my bug out bag, it's my everyday carry bag, and it's my get home bag. And you can do this if you keep your bug out bag extremely lightweight. I'm talking about 20 or 25 pounds. If you get in the 50, 60 pounds, you're not going to take it every day. It would just be a big pain to try and carry that around. But if it's a 18 to 20 pound bag, you can take that all day long, no problem. Because when it's that light, you'll feel comfortable taking it anytime you leave the house. And I like knowing I have some basic medical supplies. I like knowing I have a water filter, pepper spray, a small sleeping pad, some playing cards, a bit of food with me all the time. And building a bug out bag is just one aspect of living a resilient life. So if this is all new to you, perhaps you're feeling a bit overwhelmed about now. And if this is you, then I highly recommend you go down in the link below in the description and pick up our free 10 basic steps to preparedness guide. And if you've been doing this for a while, then I highly recommend you check out our popular prepper community called The Resilient Life. We like to call it the antidote to all of life's uncertainties. Basically, it's a system that helps you become more resilient over time. And what's cool is we track your progress. So every time you click something and say, yes, I did that, we add a number to your score automatically via the website. So you get to track your progress and see how you become more resilient. You start off with a small number, like 0 to 20 or 30, and then over time you get it up to 50, 60, even up to 200 potentially, as you become more and more resilient. We also have a Facebook community as part of the Resilient Life where you can communicate with other people and ask questions and learn from each other, okay? So if that sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend check it out in the link below. So until next time, prepare, adapt, and overcome.